this was untrue. Sometimes change came all at once, with a sound like a fire taking hold of dry wood and paper, with a roar that rose around you so you couldn't hear yourself think. And then, when the roar died down, even when the fires were damped, everything was different. People came to realize, when they talked about those years, that they were years which set one sort of America apart from another. 20 years later, they would speak of that time as beginning with the war, or the sexual revolution, or Woodstock. But Maggie knew it right away. She believed it began with the sound of a bulldozer moving dirt in her own backyard. For that was the summer they began building the development behind the Scanlan house. That was the beginning. On a June morning, a week after school let out, Maggie came down to breakfast and found her father standing at the window over the sink with a cup of coffee in his hand, watching an earth mover the color of a pumpkin heave great scoops of dirt crowned with reeds and grass into the air and onto a pile just beyond the creek. Maggie stood beside him and pushed up on her skinny forearms to look outside. But all she could see was the shovel when it reached its highest point and changed gears with a powerful grinding that seemed to make her bones go cold. "Son of a bitch," Tommy Scanlan said with an air of wonder. "Tom," said Maggie's mother. Just Tom. But what it meant was, don't swear in front of the children. Maggie's father didn't turn around or even seem to hear his wife. He just drank his coffee, making a little sibilant sound, and watched the earth mover lumber back and forth, its shovel going up and down and over and up and down and over again. A sign announcing the development had stood in the fields behind the house for 4 years, since before the 4th Scanlan baby had been born. It started out white with green letters. On this site, the sign read, "Coming soon, Tennyson Park, a community of homes from $39,500. "Ha!" said Maggie's grandfather Scanlan, who knew the price of everything. 2 men with a post digger had come and put the sign up at the end of the cul-de-sac behind Park Street. After the sign went up, the other children in the neighborhood waited for something to happen, but it never did. For years, it seemed to stand as a testimonial to the fact that everything was fine, just the way it was, that everyone in Kenwood knew one another and was happy in the knowledge that all their neighbors were people like themselves, Irish, Catholic, well enough off not to be anxious about much except the slow, inexorable encroachment of those who were not their kind. The sign got older, and the paint got duller, and someone carved a cross into the back of it with a knife, and all the excitement about new construction and new people died down. One Halloween, the sign got pelted with eggs, and the eggs just stayed there through that winter, yellow rivulets that froze on the white and green. Mrs. Kelly, who lived in the house at the end of the cul-de-sac, and whose driveway was nearest the sign, was by turns enraged and terrified at the prospect of the development. She said that they had built a development near her sister in New Jersey, split levels and ranch houses, and the next thing they knew, there had to be a traffic light at the end of the street because of all the cars. But Mrs. Kelly's husband died of emphysema 3 years after the sign went up, and Mrs. Kelly went to live with her sister in New Jersey, and there was still no development, just the sign. Maggie sprang up onto the kitchen counter and sat there, swinging her legs. "Get down," Connie Scanlan said, feeding Joseph scrambled eggs.